Have you ever said yes when you wanted to say no? Have you ever smiled when you felt disrespected? Have you ever gone out of your way for people who wouldn't lift a finger for you? If your answer is yes, then let me tell you, you are being too nice. And in 2025, that's a serious problem. This year is not the time to let people walk all over you. This is the year to reclaim your time, your energy, and your self-worth. Because the truth is, being too nice is not a virtue, it's a trap. And today I'm going to show you how to break free. Too many people believe that being excessively nice will earn them success, respect, and happiness. They think that always saying yes, never disagreeing, and constantly accommodating others will make them more likable and valued. But the reality is far from this illusion. The truth is, being too nice is often the very thing that holds you back in life. Think about the moments when you sacrifice your own comfort just to avoid conflict. How many times have you kept silent when you should have spoken up? How many times have you smiled and nodded when someone disrespected you? How many times have you gone out of your way to help someone who never even thought twice about returning the favor? The problem with being overly nice is that it makes you an easy target. People quickly learn that you'll always say yes, even at your own expense. They start to take you for granted. At first, they may appreciate your kindness, but over time, they begin to see you as someone they can rely on without reciprocation. You become the person who stays late at work while others go home, the friend who always listens but never gets heard, the one who puts in the effort while others reap the reward. And before you know it, you're exhausted, frustrated, and stuck in a cycle where your needs are constantly pushed aside. When you're too nice, people assume you have no boundaries. They assume you are okay with being overlooked, with being taken advantage of, with being the one who bends while everyone else stands firm. They assume you'll always be to help to pick up the slack. Being too nice prevents you from advancing in your career. Have you ever noticed that in a workplace, it's often not the nicest person who gets the promotion? It's not the person who stays silent in meetings, avoids confrontation, and agrees with everything the boss says. It's the person who speaks up, asserts their ideas, and demands to be noticed. Too much niceness keeps you stuck in the background while others climb the ladder. It's the same in relationships, whether it's friendships, family, or romantic partnerships. Being overly nice often leads to one-sided dynamics. You may think that always being agreeable will strengthen your relationships, but in reality, it does the opposite. It creates imbalance. When you're always giving and never receiving, you start to feel resentment. But instead of addressing it, you suppress it. Instead of setting boundaries, you continue giving. Over time, this builds frustration, and eventually, it either leads to a breakdown in the relationship or a breakdown within yourself. One of the biggest misconceptions is that being overly nice makes you more likable. But let me ask you this. Do you respect people who let others walk all over them? Do you admire people who never stand up for themselves? Probably not. We admire people who have self-respect, who set boundaries, who are kind but firm. You start being seen as someone with strength, someone who values their time, energy, and well-being. Success in life requires balance. You can be kind without being a pushover. You can be respectful without being a doormat. The key is learning to say no when necessary, speaking up when something doesn't feel right, and refusing to tolerate mistreatment. It's about recognizing that your needs, your voice, and your goals matter just as much as anyone else's. It's about realizing that if you don't advocate for yourself, no one else will. The reality is, the world does not owe you anything for being nice. You You don't get ahead by being the person who never causes problems, never ever complains, and always puts others first. You get ahead. So if you've been holding yourself back out of fear of being seen as not nice enough, it's time to change that. It's time to stop living to please everyone else at the cost of your own happiness. Because at the end of the day, being too nice will only leave you drained, unfulfilled, and wondering why others seem to get ahead while you remain stuck. The choice is yours. Continue being too nice and remain in the shadows, or stand up for yourself and take control of your life. Many people grow up believing that kindness is the ultimate virtue, that being polite, agreeable, and accommodating will earn them love, respect, and success. But there's a dangerous misunderstanding that often comes with this belief. The idea that kindness means always saying yes, always being available, always sacrificing your own needs for others. This is where the problem begins. True kindness is a strength, but when it is mistaken for weakness, it can quickly become a burden. There is a huge difference between being kind and being a pushover. Kindness is a conscious choice. It is the ability to be compassionate and understanding while still maintaining your own dignity. But too often, people confuse kindness with being passive, submissive, or too eager to please. When that happens, kindness stops being a strength and starts becoming a liability. Think about the people in your life who you respect the most. Are they the ones who let others take advantage of them? Are they the ones who say yes to everything, even at the cost of their own well-being? Or are they the ones who are fair, firm, and stand up for themselves while still treating others with respect? The most respected individuals are those who know how to balance kindness with strength. They are kind, but they do not tolerate disrespect. They help others, but they do not allow themselves to be used. The truth is, if you don't set boundaries, people will assume you don't have any. If you always say yes, people will stop valuing your time. If you never stand up for yourself, people will assume you are okay with being treated poorly. This is not because people are necessarily bad, it's just human nature. We teach others how to treat us based on what we allow. And if we allow kindness to be mistaken for weakness, we open the door to being taken for granted. This is especially true in professional settings. If you are always the person who takes on extra work without question, your workload will continue to grow while others do less. If you never speak up in meetings, your ideas will never be heard. If you avoid confrontation at all costs, others will assume you are fine with decisions that do not benefit you. Many people believe that being overly nice at work will earn them promotions and recognition. But in reality, it often does the opposite. It makes them invisible. The ones who get ahead are those who are assertive, confident, and willing to stand their ground when necessary. The same applies to relationships. Whether it's friendships, family, or romantic relationships, being overly nice without setting boundaries can lead to one-sided relationships where you give more than you receive. You may think that always being accommodating will strengthen the relationship, but in reality, it often leads to resentment. You may start to feel unappreciated, but instead of addressing it, you continue to give. Eventually, you either burn out or realize that the relationship is built on an unhealthy dynamic where your kindness is being exploited. One of the most important lessons in life is understanding that kindness does not mean allowing yourself to be mistreated. Being kind does not mean tolerating toxic behavior. It does not mean letting people disrespect you in the name of keeping the peace. It does not mean saying yes when you want to say no. Kindness should never come at the expense of your own well-being. True kindness is rooted in self-respect. It means treating others with compassion while also expecting to be treated with respect in return. It means helping others when you can, but also knowing when to step back and prioritize yourself. It means being generous, but not at the cost of your own energy and happiness. In 2025, the world is moving fast. People who know their worth and refuse to be walked over are the ones who will thrive. If you want to be successful, if you want to build meaningful relationships, if you want to live a life where you feel valued and respected, you must learn to separate kindness from weakness. You must learn that standing up for yourself does not make you mean. It makes you strong. You must understand that saying no does not make you selfish. It makes you wise. At the end of the day, you have a choice. You can continue being overly nice, allowing yourself to be taken for granted, or you can choose to be strong while still being kind. You can choose to set boundaries. You can choose to stand up for yourself. You can choose to respect yourself enough to demand respect from others. Because real kindness is not about being a doormat. It's about knowing your value and refusing to accept anything less. Success is not reserved for the most talented, the most educated, or even the hardest working people. It is reserved for those who are assertive enough to claim it. In every aspect of life, from career advancement to personal relationships, assertiveness is a defining trait that separates those who achieve their goals from those who remain stuck in the background. Without it, even the most capable individuals find themselves overlooked, underappreciated, and undervalued. Being assertive is not about being aggressive or demanding. It is about having the confidence to express your thoughts, advocate for your needs, and take action without hesitation. It is about knowing what you want and refusing to settle for less. People often assume that being assertive is synonymous with being rude or confrontational, but this couldn't be further from the truth. Assertiveness is the ability to communicate with clarity and confidence while still respecting others. It is the key to gaining respect, seizing opportunities, and achieving success in a world that does not reward passivity. One of the biggest obstacles to success is the fear of speaking up. Many people remain silent in meetings, afraid that their ideas will be rejected. They hesitate to ask for a raise, worried that they will be seen as demanding. They avoid difficult conversations, fearing conflict. But here's the reality. If you don't speak up for yourself, no one else will. The people who get promoted, the people who get recognized, and the people who move forward in life are not necessarily the smartest or the most capable. They are the ones who have the confidence to assert themselves. Assertiveness is just as critical in relationships as it is in the workplace, in friendships, in families, and in romantic partnerships. People who lack assertiveness often find themselves feeling unheard and unappreciated. They tolerate behaviors that make them uncomfortable. They suppress their own needs to keep the peace, and they say yes when they really want to say no. Over time, this leads to resentment and frustration, not just with others, but with themselves. Healthy relationships require balance. And balance can only exist when both parties are able to express their needs and boundaries openly. Assertiveness allows you to maintain relationships that are based on mutual respect rather than obligation or fear. The world does not give success to those who wait for it to be handed to them. It gives success to those who go after it with conviction. Think about the people who inspire you, whether they are entrepreneurs, leaders, or influencers. They did not achieve their success by hoping someone would notice their potential. They took risks. They made bold decisions. They asked for what they wanted, and they didn't allow rejection or criticism to stop them. Every time you hesitate to stand up for yourself, every time you avoid asking for what you deserve, you reinforce a habit of passivity, and passivity is the enemy of success. The more you allow fear to dictate your actions, the harder it becomes to break free from the cycle of hesitation. The good news is that assertiveness is a skill that can be developed. It starts with small steps. Speaking up when you disagree, setting boundaries when someone crosses the line, asking for what you want without apologizing for it. Over time, these small actions build confidence, and confidence leads to opportunities. In 2025, the world is moving at a faster pace than ever before. Opportunities are there for those who are willing to take them, but they will not wait for anyone. If you want to succeed, you must be willing to claim your place. You must be willing to demand respect, to take risks, and to bet on yourself. No one else can do it for you. Assertiveness is not just about getting ahead. It is about taking control of your own life and refusing to let fear or hesitation hold you back. The sooner you embrace it, the sooner you will see the result.